Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. All right, welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Ooh, we got a barn burner for you today, Frank. We got a barn burner.
All right, it's exciting times going on here now, so we got to talk about it. We got to catch you up on what's interesting now. You know what's piquing our interest, and then we got a good topic for you today. I'm excited to get to the topic, but let's do some housekeeping first.
Let's do some housekeeping. First off, we want to say congratulations to the newest WWE superstar.
All right, superstar might actually be that might actually be shortchanging her on that. That might not be enough. I mean,
yeah, we talk about Jade Cargill.
So
Jade did a hot stint over in AEW. Obviously looking like a rock star, looking like $1 million, and now she's coming with $1 million boys play.
Oh yeah, the $1 billion boy play.
So I'm gonna pop a top to old Jade Cargill.
All right, we'll pop something for Jade. All right, that's all right here.
Congratulatory.
All right,
cheers to you, Jade. All right. So
conversation came out. She signed a multi-year deal with WWE, which means they didn't give her that good old developmental, we'll work on you type. They already know.
Yeah. They know she's got, as Bully said today on Busted Open, she's got the it factor.
She's got a lot of it.
I mean, it is undeniable. She's got the look, she's got the charisma, she's got the presence. Does she have the moves? She's working.
Yeah, she don't have the ring ability yet.
She's working.
Where was she walking today? She didn't walk into Titan Tower.
She walked into the
Performance PC.
Yeah. So to see her walk in the Performance Center means, okay, she's laying the foundation for her career to be one of the biggest probably in the women's division at this moment.
Oh yeah, I mean, already she hadn't appeared on but what, a TikTok video's worth of time on WWE, and she's already being, mentioned with the likes of Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair. I mean, she's superseded everything that, that we already know about the women's division. I liken it to, and I think I told you earlier, I feel like she's going to get that AJ Styles push. I feel like, so if it was me, if I'm booking it, right, because I got the pencil right now.
Absolutely.
I would say, hey, it's what, September, basically October, right? Mm-hmm. I would say, October, November, December, work out in that PC, bring down the Natalias, bring down your veteran, bring down the Molly Hollies, your producers, your top tier, workers, bring them down there, get them all in that ring with them. Cause you're gonna write a lot of checks based off of her performances here coming up soon. So you bring that talent down that isn't necessarily getting all the TV time anyway. Let them work with her, get those reps in. Royal Rumble time. You bring her out there in that Royal Rumble, she gets that AJ Styles push. Go straight to the main roster, get made in the Rumble. She doesn't have to win it by no means. God, please, I'm not saying that. But just to get in there, get that rub, get in there to bump shoulders with all the other women in the WWE. She's made. She's golden at that point.
So the way that you're describing it, for those who saw the Rumble where Keith Lee was in the Rumble and he had that moment with Brock,
yep,
that's all she needs.
That's it.
That's all she needs.
All she's got to do is bump shoulders in there with the right women. So again, your Charlotte Flairs, your Beckys, your Bianca Belairs,
Ripley.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley. I mean, she just got to bump shoulders with them just a little bit. You don't have to have a whole lot of. We don't need to see her in the Royal Rumble for 30 minutes. We don't need to see her put on the Kane display right away where she throws out 15 women. We don't have to see all that just yet. Just get a taste.
Yeah.
And then you got from January up until April to work on how we going to get this girl on WrestleMania. Because there's money to be made with Jade Cargill or whatever they decide to call her. There's money to be made there.
Let her keep that name. I hope they do.
That would be nice.
Because she's already got that name out there. Everybody knows her as that. Just let
Problem with WWE is she's already got that name out there. Everybody already knows her. So
they took a different turn with Cody, but Cody had leverage. Cody was Cody.
Cody had a lot of leverage coming in. So
Cody was Cody, but hopefully they'll keep her the same. And look, I mean, I know there's probably a lot of people out there going, you WWE fanboys, or, you think Jade's all that. And she's rough around the edges.
Yeah.
But so
She's
was.
been in business, 2 years? I mean, 3 years? Come on.
So was Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Bianca
So was
Belair.
Charlotte.
They were
Charlotte
all
Flair
rough
tell
around
you
the edges.
right off. She'll tell you herself. She said it in her documentaries. When she started, she wasn't intended to ever wrestle anyway. When she started, she said she was crap.
Yeah.
And she flat out said, she looks back at her first couple years stuff and thinks it was just god awful, but WWE saw enough.
Yeah.
They said there's enough that we can form this diamond out of all that coal that you got there. And that's what Jade is. I mean, she's a big glowing piece of coal right now.
And Rhea didn't even come into her own until she really got into this mommy spot.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's when her character really blew up.
They tried with her a couple years at WrestleMania, and it didn't take off. It didn't pick up. But, you packaged her in with the Judgment Day. I mean, Dom gets more booze than booze. I mean, he gets more booze than Halloween.
Yeah,
so.
and if y'all are out there thinking that those boobs are piped in,
no.
dude, search X. Just look out there for those and find the crowd videos. That is not piped in.
You can tell it ain't piped in because at one point on most recent Raw, Cody was trying to speak and they wouldn't even let him speak. He actually had to just freeze up.
He said, I can't hear myself.
Yeah, he had to freeze up, when he was trying to calm it down so he could proceed with the segment. He even had to give it a minute because he's like, it's going too hot right now.
So speaking of the promo and speaking of Cody, let's transition into something else that happened Monday night on Raw.
Okay.
Talk about these promos that came out. The first one being Cody saying, I don't think we're in the bottom of the third inning anymore.
That's an awful interesting take that he has there. So me personally, I feel like he's just trying to ease his way back into the title picture to finish that story. Now, I've said already on recent podcasts that I think that's going to be the Rock spot this year. So I don't think he's going to weasel his way into this main event this year. He might be able to get into a main event this year, but I don't think the Bloodline main event is going to be his story this year.
If there's an issue with Roman putting over Cody, just kind of looking kind of behind the scenes, reading the tea leaves a little bit, and maybe writing my own little story of what might happen. What if they put them in a three-way dance? What if Cody and Roman and Rock all get in the ring together?
Hey, there's potential for that. Rock could even take the fall to Cody, which sets up all types of Roman storylines at that point. Roman can feud with Cody through the summer. He can feud with Rock at SummerSlam. There's a lot of potential to do with this story. I mean, I've even heard, I think I mentioned it most recently, but I even heard they might just do kind of like the WrestleMania 10 scenario where you have Cody and Roman both wrestle night one, where somebody even mentioned Cody wrestle John Cena night one and Roman wrestle Rock. And then you have Cody and Roman get together on night two. And I mean, my God, could you have a bigger main event than those four names involved?
No.
I mean, that's basically your two biggest stars from quote unquote yesteryear facing up against your two biggest stars of today. And then you finish off night two with the two biggest stars of today going head to head. Hey, my goodness. It's insane. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
It is.
I know we've said that before. I'm going to keep saying it again until they foul this up and they end up booking Roman versus Bully Ray or something like that. And then I'm like, what the hell? So until they get to that level, I'm going to keep saying it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
And then Seth cutting a promo stating that he's the best in the world. Now, where have we heard that before?
He's the best in the world. Well, let's see.
Best in the world. Where have we heard that before?
I've heard that somewhere around. Maybe I heard it a long, long time ago somewhere.
Is it on the bottle of the back of a bottle of Pepsi somewhere?
Could be on the back of it. Could be on an ice cream bar. I mean, some ice cream bars, the Good Humor bar definitely says it's best in the world.
What about the cupcakes?
Could be on
maybe
a cupcake. I mean, maybe it's just on a t-shirt, right?
Maybe. Maybe.
So I'm from Chicago. I know it's like printed all over the place in the city. So, you could wander around downtown Chicago and see, best in the world hot dogs, best in the world pizza. Because, I mean, we got all that. Every now and again, you get some wrestlers that come out of there that think they're the best in the world. And if they ain't got no job, come, let's say, Survivor Series time, when Survivor Series is going to be in Chicago, I mean, hey, if there's going to be some place to be,
Or is this Seth just trolling?
Not more than likely it's that.
He's trolling.
Let's be honest, because he's done it before. He's trolled Kenny Omega. He trolled Cody when Cody was over on, in AEW. He's probably looking at the scenario saying, hey, why not? Seth's a Midwest boy. He's from Iowa. He's right across the pond from Chicago. He's probably like, I'll just leave some little breadcrumbs out there and we'll see who picks up on it. Get people like me and you to start talking about it in the podcast. Yeah, see what's going on with that. But if I had the pencil again, because again, this is the Booker's Alliance.
Right.
If somehow or another you could get a CM Punk sighting at Survivor Series, now you carry that into WrestleMania with the other two matches
Mania at that point, that's a different level.
Yeah, and so then we stop talking about how many people you got in the building and what the attendance record is. At that point, we're making epic wrestling that will be talked about until the end of time.
That's a WrestleMania 3 type deal.
Yeah. What better time to do it than WrestleMania 40, right? Yeah. It's an anniversary year. You're not going to make it to 50. So, you can't push up. These guys ain't going to be here at 50. No. So if you're going to do it at a monumental WrestleMania, 40 is a really good one to do it at. So if I had my druthers, maybe bring those guys in. Now we're looking at some, you got Jade from AEW. You got Cody from quote unquote from AEW, even though he's a WWE homer. He's still, you got some AEW stars in there. So you're starting to see some of those dream matches that you kind of looked at on the grandest stage in the world, which literally will be the grandest stage of the world. My goodness. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
Great time. And then you got Nia cutting a promo.
Uh-oh.
Is she farming squashes? I mean, what is she doing?
Nia's going to squash. So what I'm looking at here, so Roman smashes him.
Yep.
Nia squashes him. I mean, hey, why not? I feel like she's just born right out of the Bloodlines playbook. She's like, hey, it's my family too.
She's trying to be Roman 2.0, I think.
There you go. She could be Roman with the on the same sex bathrooms.
Yeah.
She's like, we got to put a dress on one and some pants on it. Hell, just put a figure up there. She's like, right, this is plug and play. She's like, I got Samoan blood, so I'm a squash. She's gonna wreck them and squash them and leave. She definitely wrecked Rhea because we haven't seen Rhea.
Dude, so I've been watching her do this move at the end. The Annihilator is what they're calling it. All right,
Banzai.
Obviously, that's a tribute to Yokozuna.
Love it.
Love the tribute. Love everything about it. I'm watching her do it though. When Yoko would do it, Yoko would hit, and that was it.
Yeah,
he planted.
Well, Yoko would first hit his feet.
Yeah.
I mean, he would hit his feet and then he would gingerly, put that 500-600 pound ass right in your chest. And, he would kind of sit there. Now, if you see early Yoko, there was somewhere Yoko let them legs spread. I mean, he caved in some sternum.
Now, that's what I'm seeing with Nia.
This move. Yeah, Nia's caving in sternum. That's why Charlotte ain't even on the same show as her.
No.
Even though they're friends, they worked out. Charlotte helped Nia get into great shape. I mean, Nia looks a lot better than when she left. You can see, the exercise and the work, but you also see her and Charlotte ain't on the same damn show. Because Charlotte's had to have a few repairs done up there anyway, and you let Nia come splashing down on that, man, hell, you want to talk about all hell breaking loose? Hell breaks loose.
Nia almost bounces whenever she does that move.
Yeah.
I've seen it, 3 times now, and every time I've seen it, I'm like, holy crap, I would not want to be on the end of that.
No, I mean, now I know some dudes out there that are like, oh yeah, give me every bit of it, but that's what you think.
Until you take that move.
Right, you got that fetish thing going on, so that's what you think. But when that shit happens, what I'm waiting for though, I mean, and it is going to be the moment of all time, is when she misses that one time and starts screaming, my hole. That's going to be the greatest. That's the day I wait for every day, when Nia has to scream out my hole on TV.
Awesome soundbite that come out of that.
Oh yeah, best thing ever.
All right, and then we got, Shinsuke doing his promo. And I don't know if this will come out before or after Fastlane, where we're going to get the last man standing match between Shinsuke and Seth. But I honestly, truly believe I'm getting my wish. I'm getting the old Shinsuke from New Japan back.
They're giving you as much as they can.
Yeah.
I feel like they can't go all the way, because again, that was a New Japan gimmick, and WWE just won't buy into a whole 100% on anyone else's gimmick.
But if Seth,
they're pushing it as close as they can push.
if Seth will go in on it, because the strong styles, it's not for everybody.
No,
I mean Shinsuke, he's like Brock as far as the in like the New Japan style. He's gonna lay those shots in. That's part of it.
Yeah.
But you're not giving 100% of it when you connect. I mean, you're connecting.
Yeah. I mean, you got to pull it some,
Yeah.
because if you start going, pale mell out there,
Yeah.
you're going to have bigger problems to deal with than getting through the match. You got long-standing injury. Like Brawl for All. I think we talked about Brawl for All before. That's when they just let guys get loose, and a whole lot of guys came out of that injured, and no one came out the better for it. So you don't necessarily need it to get to that level. But
I think there are going to be a lot of weapon spots in the match, and that's okay, because that'll let them play into the strong style, into the laying the shots in without having to actually be physical.
Yeah, without having to literally kill each other. You can work it as best as possible.
Right. So a lot of good promos came out of Monday Night Raw. Definitely some good promo work coming out of Jimmy and Jay as well here lately. Yeah. So their story is kind of getting interesting to see where that's all going.
Speaking of Jimmy, so we recapped a lot of Raw. We got a couple minutes left. What happened? What about SmackDown on Friday? Past Friday here.
Jimmy running around calling shots.
I mean, hey, Jimmy knows what's going on. He's Paul Heyman's just as lost can be, and apparently Roman ain't coming back for a couple weeks, so somebody's got to be in charge.
And then Solo out here taking orders, and we don't know who they from.
Yeah, nobody knows. And Paul's steadily calling Roman, but
who gave the order?
Yeah, that cell phone can only go so far. After a while, Paul's gonna say, call Roman Reigns, and Roman might not be there to pick up.
Yep.
So
I'm waiting for the day where he does that though. Call Roman Reigns, and then just behind him, off camera, the telephone rings.
There you go.
And Roman's already there, and he's like, "I've been watching you, wise man." I'm waiting for that day.
But they're gearing up right now for a Bloodline versus John Cena tag team, and a couple theories going around out there on who John Cena's tag team partner might be.
Yeah.
So I got a theory. You got a theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a theory. Tell us about it. Tell us about your theory.
So starting to follow some snippets of information that people are starting to put out, things like that. John Cena posted something on his Instagram today. By the way, if you have not seen John Cena's Instagram, go check it out. Holy crap. It is a myriad of just mind-bending puzzles and just innuendos. And
no words. John doesn't have, he don't have to say anything.
He puts his words on Twitter or
exactly.
X. He puts his words out there.
Twix.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah, I heard Eric Bischoff came out with that the other day. He said Twitter and X. He said it's Twix.
Elon, make
Conrad said he couldn't handle it because it makes him hungry, and I said, well, we're avoiding that, so it won't make us hungry. But yeah, I like Twix.
Left one or right one.
There you go. got the caramel and the chocolate. That's like me and you. All right. All right, there's the pop. I knew I could work one in. I knew I could get one in there.
Yeah.
Broke character. Yeah, I knew I could get it.
Love it. But yeah, so John Cena out there on his Instagram posting a picture of the Hollywood sign, but from behind it, looking towards the city of LA in a beautiful nighttime scape. So LA night, that's where I'm heading. John's spelling it out there.
Definitely a nice little nod there. I mean, that would be a good spot for LA night. It's time to start getting him into these main event shots. He is already, saddled up next to John Cena on pay-per-view, in the last pay-per-view where John refereed their match. That rub won't hurt LA Knight at all. I mean, obviously a John Cena rub won't hurt anybody. I'm just not 100% sure they're still sold on LA Knight yet. I mean, it's just, it's like the silver platter's like right there, right?
Yeah.
And the food's on it. You can see it steaming coming off of the platter. And it seems like all you would say is put it in front of me and let me eat.
So what you got a case of is deja vu, sir.
I just feel
because you're like, I've seen this before and I've seen it not go the way I want it to go.
I've seen this story before, and it doesn't necessarily play out the way that we all think. I mean, we talked about CM Punk earlier. He was one of those guys where CM Punk thought he was the guy. The fans loved him. Everybody supported CM Punk. And, they gave him a long run with the title. Then they took the title off of him. Then all of a sudden CM Punk said, you know what? I'm getting hosed around here. And So, well, wait a minute. I don't know.
Took his ice cream bars.
Yeah, he took. Yeah, it just things weren't going his way.
You can't take a man's ice cream. I'm sorry.
There's a clip of a promo that CM Punk and Triple H did in the ring. Close to when CM Punk was heading on his way out after Triple H had went executive or whatnot. And Triple H basically told him. He said, "Hey, you like change when change benefits you." Mm. And there was a lot of truth in that promo. You got to watch the promo to see it. We'll end up spending the whole show talking about that if we get started on that.
Preach.
But yeah, so definitely would be a good spot for LA Knight. Again, though, I'm just not 100% sure that's the way they're going to lean, simply because there's so much Rock right now. I mean, there's already precedent for John Cena calling out The Rock to be his tag team partner against Truth and Miz way back in 2011 when he was having that feud or whatnot. I just feel like, this is another good way to bring those two guys back together, get Rock back in the fold, get him a little tune-up match out there if you're going to do something with him at WrestleMania. But then again, you got to have those plans already in concrete to get into there, or I guess in Rock. But you got to have that, solid before you get into this. Otherwise, there's no point. And then I would definitely lean more towards like an LA Knight.
So interesting times, interesting ideas. Who knows where it's all going to shake out?
It's a good time to be a wrestling fan
because it's going to keep you hanging around.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get into today's topic. And
wait, we got a topic?
We got a topic.
Hell, I thought we were just going to wax poetic here about current state of wrestling forever, and then we'll say, hell, we're out of time.
So the topic today is move, get out the way. So we're talking about sometimes in the world of professional wrestling, you hear the term, this wrestler held somebody back.
Yeah, he's holding them down. He's protecting his spot.
Squashing their storylines because they don't want to see them climb the ladder.
Yeah, you hear about it all the time. I mean, probably the most notorious offenders are people we've already mentioned today. John Cena. Mm-hmm. John Cena was known to be a notorious offender of holding guys down. I mean, CM Punk once said it. A lot of different up-and-comers from let's say 2007, 2008 to around 2014-ish, that 6-7 year time period, a lot of wrestlers said, they felt like it was their turn and it was their time, but John Cena was standing in their way. And, I listen to it and you think back to it and just think of the Randy Ortons and the Edges and a lot of guys got their hands on titles while John was the champ.
Right.
And had a lot of good stories with John. John had a lot of memorable feuds. It's just kind of hard to believe that he was holding these guys down. I mean, that's...
So how do you become a 16-time world heavyweight champ if you are constantly holding people down?
Yeah, you would be a one-time champ because you would never lose the belt,
Roman.
Right. So, they're doing something different with Roman. I don't think Roman's
just kidding.
actively holding anybody down. But I've heard that argument too. I mean, I've heard that, quote unquote, Roman's standing in the way of progress. No, the company is using Roman for progress.
Right.
I mean, if he wasn't benefiting them in multiple ways, he wouldn't be where he is. And that's just the end all be all of it. Hulk Hogan. We heard this a lot about Hulk Hogan.
The classic line, that don't work for me, brother.
Yeah, that don't work for me, brother. And I listened to it and I'm like, a lot of guys in the 80s got a lot of hefty paychecks because they got in the ring with Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. If Hulk was just trying to hold anybody down, him and Andre would have main evented every day for 5 years straight. And all the other guys would have been, cannon fodder out there. Right. But I mean, I remember, we could sit here and name a multitude of wrestlers from Killer Khan that you might not even remember anymore to Bam Bam Bigelow that tagged with Hulk Hogan. Brought a lot of people up to a level they wouldn't have gotten to under the WWE banner for the way WWE did things, because they had to have a heel factory that they made to push through Hogan. Yeah, those guys weren't winning the title, but I mean, same as what we just said about Roman, same what we said about John Cena, the company was using Hulk Hogan for something different than putting a bunch of guys over. They were building their brand and making their name on his back.
So that in your reference there, sir, that is where, to me, this all theory of people holding each other back, that's where this theory kind of unravels to me.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, yes, it is entertainment. Yes, it's professional wrestling. But at the end of the day, this is a business.
It's a business.
It's a business.
And you need the, did the NBA flourish before the Jordan era with before Magic and Bird? But do you remember much about the NBA before that? I mean, they had stars. They had Wilt. They had,
Dr. J.
They had a lot of stars, but the NBA wasn't anywhere near what it became.
It didn't become pop culture.
No, because you didn't have anything to grasp onto.
Right.
But as soon as Magic Johnson and Larry Bird graduated, came into the NBA, they immediately pitted those two against each other, and they made basically a heel and a face feud.
Yep.
They did what wrestling does now. They followed the blueprint to a T. They got themselves two guys to say, every year in the finals, you're going to watch because you want to see these two guys play at the end. They may never play. We don't know. That's not wrestling. It takes care of itself. We can't make it happen. But with the likelihood of the teams that they were on, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in it, you're probably going to have to tune in because you want to see Larry Bird, Magic Johnson play ball.
Side note, don't know if you saw this recent tweet from Al Snow. He said the greatest porn star name ever was wasted on an NBA player.
Who's that?
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson. Well, history would show Magic Johnson he may have been making those pornos. They just ain't been published yet. So
he might have.
Yeah, goodness only knows out there. But apparently Magic was doing a lot. So there may be one of those tapes out there somewhere lurking around called Magic Johnson. No one has seen.
So we'll direct back into the lane of traffic here and get back on topic. But at the end of the day, that is a business, and you're going to make the right decisions on what's best for business. And of course, Hogan in the 80s, nobody else could have got the WWE to that point.
No.
I mean, just like Flair in NWA or WCW, Flair carried them to that certain point. Flair carried them to that point, and then Sting came along.
Yeah.
Sting carried them. And then, when Hogan kind of stepped aside, Brett and Shawn kind of came along and took that.
But even let's be honest about it, Flair and Sting were there opposite of Hogan, but there's a reason WWF at the time was so much bigger than the NWA. It's because they had Hogan.
Yeah, they had Hogan.
And Hogan was he was in Hollywood. He was in movies. He was on Saturday Night Live. He was on The Tonight Show. He was everywhere. Ric Flair was out there wrestling.
Yeah,
he was honing his craft. He was bettering the business of wrestling, but Hogan was bettering the business of sports entertainment.
Vince bastardized Hulk Hogan's image.
Yeah, absolutely.
To gain popularity.
He pimped it out
everywhere.
He pimped it out.
He put it everywhere.
He pimped it as hard as he could pimp it until that horse just couldn't get up and perform no more. He had to quit and go over to the secondhand competition because Hogan had just pimped him to death. I mean, So, but Vince had pimped him to death. But I mean, he had to do what he had to do to get the business up there.
And that's, you can't, I'm not going to hate on a business, obviously, for doing what they got to do to get by and improve.
So it didn't like Hogan didn't get well paid for this. I mean,
so that's
it'd be a little different conversation if we were saying, Vince was pimping him to build the business and Hogan was in poverty. Hogan was living the life.
That's the flip side. That's the flip side of the coin. So we're talking about John Cena, we're talking about Hulk Hogan, and we're talking about how, they kept putting people over. But at the same time, what if they would have said, what if they were saying, look, I'm making a hell of a lot of money. I don't want to go nowhere. I'm liking where I'm at. I don't care if I'm flip-flopping, losing here, there. It don't matter. I want to be in the top echelon of what's going on in this business. Yeah,
the champion or the top performer or the draw.
Or the challenger or the chaser.
They get the big end of the stick at the end of the night. So when the paychecks get divvied out, it's just like, we talked about NBA. It's just like football. Who brings in the biggest contracts at football? Quarterbacks. Why? Because they're the most seen, they're the most recognizable football players on the field, and they contribute the most to the game because of what they have to do in comparison to everybody else. Wrestlers, no different. Yeah. Coco Beware is in the Hall of Fame right now, I guess. We're not going to get into that, but I mean, he's legit in there, I guess. So I don't have any other direction to go because when I look back at Hall of Famers, I'm like, all right, I guess that's all I got. That's all I could get. But the fact of the matter is he's in there. he got in there because he was in the WWF during the time when Hulk Hogan was making the WWF popular.
Yeah.
Had Koko B. Ware been in the WWF in the late 90s, he'd have been just another dude that was in the Nation of Domination, because that's kind of the only place they would have found a way to fit him.
Yep.
But, he was in that time where Hogan had so many eyes on the product that it was inevitable that a lot of those guys, wouldn't have had a career worth note, but they made a lot of money off performing on cards that Hogan was performing on, or getting into packages that Hogan was in, or, just getting a little Hogan rub, brother.
Yeah, and, whether it be the company keeping these people in the spots or them backstage politicking, keeping in the spots, whatever it is, obviously you want to hold on to what you got.
Yeah.
And step out of the entertainment world, professional wrestling world, step out of that for a minute, real world. I don't want nobody taking my job. I need my job. I need to provide for my family. I need to put food on the table. I need to put my kids through college. It's just, you need that, sustenance. You need that income. So with these guys, of course, they don't want to, go back to mid card or go back to Saturday night main event.
They sniff the main event now. You seen that big check stroll in there, every Friday. You don't want to go back to that small ass check when when you done seen a 6-figure check roll in there, after a SummerSlam, or you see a 7-figure check stride in after WrestleMania. You're not going back to a 4-figure check. What the hell you gonna do with $8,000 when you done made $8 million last year?
Now I'm gonna give somebody a plug real quick, but we always cite our sources and we talk about things. But if you really want to understand how a wrestler gets paid, their payday, go out there, look at Maven's YouTube channel.
There you go.
His YouTube channel right now is on fire. He's blowing up right now because he's being real. He's being honest.
And he's being transparent.
And he's pulling that curtain way back. But
way back more than I think a lot of people wanted to be pulled back. But I mean, hey, it's Maven's story. It's his story to tell. So.
But he talks about how he got paid, how the card came to be, and who was ever on the card means they got more money. He talks about how DVDs,
were
royalties. But he also talks about how the death of the DVD damn near killed some of these legacy wrestlers.
Yeah, now it's all streaming in the network, and there wasn't a whole lot of royalties floating around.
You ain't around to sign a new deal for that.
Yeah, like you said, it just kind of is what it is. Also, JR's podcast. I mean, he handled that. He was the guy that wrote those checks. He gets into a lot of conversations about how he wrote Stone Cold these really big checks, and a lot of guys were upset about it. Matter of fact, he references China. He says China flat out told him, I feel like I'm the top woman here. I'm one of the top 5 acts in the company. I want Steve Austin money. And JR had to tell her, that ain't gonna happen. You ain't Steve Austin. You're not putting butts in the seats like that. You're not selling these tickets. Sure, people are interested in seeing your act.
Yep.
So you're a valuable part of the company, but you ain't Stone Cold Steve Austin. You ain't The Rock.
Speaking about putting butts in seats, if there's, and I hate to kind of jump back and forth between conversations, but if you want to know how good of a place LA Knight is in right now, the SmackDown that he missed due to COVID exposure.
Yep.
They gave the people in attendance, they gave them an option for a ticket refund.
Yeah.
Because he didn't show. He couldn't be there.
Yeah, and they ain't doing that for mid-carders.
No. So if there's anything that is giving any of us fans a glimmer of hope of where they're going to take LA Knight, that should do it for you.
Yeah.
Because they ain't going to give money back for free.
No, I mean, like I said, for a curtain jerker, they ain't worried about if you didn't get to see your favorite wrestler and your favorite wrestler just happened to be, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Well, you shouldn't have came for him anyway. They're kind of willing to let that little bit of money go. But, it kind of is what it is. But yeah, they've had to come to a point where they understand, at this point now, LA Knight is a draw.
Yeah.
LA Knight's, he's there. You just have to put him in the right place to continue to succeed.
So, we've talked about, going back to the topic, we've talked about a couple of people that, have been accused of holding people down, holding people's spots. Who are some of the people that were the complainers that were like, man, I can't get nowhere because nobody will move out the way?
Well, I mean, definitely CM Punk. I mean, we
That's
already
the
mentioned
first one
him.
that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's done that everywhere he's gone. I mean, he on his way out of AEW, he was the heavyweight champ of the world in AEW, still complaining about EVPs and whatever. Now that's a whole nother nightmare of a discussion for another day, having wrestlers being your EVPs and blah, blah, blah. But we'll tackle that on another down. But on this down, I mean, CM Punk probably stands out to be the most, but I mean, during the Hogan era in WCW, there was a whole plethora of them. I mean, the Radicals, all 4 Radicals essentially left WCW on a one-night deal or went to WWF because they said there's just no way that, we can get out of this. There's we're United States champ and under for the rest of our careers because you got, they did a whole storyline in that in WWE, the Millionaires Club versus the New Blood. Yeah, it was a storyline, but I mean, it was rooted in reality and the fact that all those young guys were looking at it saying, hey, we're ready to be the guys. And we got, the Scott Steiners and the Kevin Nashes and the Hulk Hogans and, they're just holding us down and, we want to succeed. And you just, you look at it and say, well, first of all, are all you guys ready? Let's go back a few years. Ultimate Warrior at one point said, I want to be that guy. I want to take that Hulk Hogan spot. And WWE said, hey, you're selling merch. Kids are wearing your face paint. We're going to go with that. When Hogan needs a little break, got some movies and whatnot to film. We're going to go with that. They put the title on Warrior. It fell apart. I mean, it didn't live up to the expectation because every now and again, just because you complain about, your spot or your situation doesn't mean that you're ready for that next level. So, you can complain at, sometimes they'll listen, they'll pull the trigger, you get bumped up, and next thing you know, you're off in obscurity somewhere. You're released or something like that because it just doesn't work out. I mean, Top Dollar, let's look at Top Dollar. He wasn't really a complainer on like social media and things like that, but you heard a lot of people say in the background that he was just hard to work with. Now, when you sit down and talk to like a Mick Foley or, some of the veterans that actually are able to speak freely because they're not under the company banner, they don't seem to believe that he was hard to work with. They seem to say, he was respectful, he was a good guy. It's pretty much all you need. If you're respectful and a good guy, it's probably pretty much all you can ask for out of a guy. But for whatever reason or another, other people said he was difficult to work with. Don't know if it's true or not, but fact of the matter is he's now been released twice in the span of 2 years?
Yeah,
so I mean, there's something, right?
It's one of those things where either it's in the attitude or it's in the performance. It's somewhere in there.
Well, what do they say? Where there's smoke, there's fire. So I mean, he's been released twice, so something's there. Something's either not there, or, those rumors, there's something to those rumors. But there's a reason why he's been released twice because, I mean, by look alone, you look at the guy, you say, okay, yeah, he's a WWE guy. I could see that. He does music. He's got a lot of talent. He played in the NFL, so, I mean, it isn't like he's a slouch.
No.
To get to that quality of playing football, you're an athlete. But something's just not clicking with the WWE. Not to say he can't go off and do something else somewhere else. But something ain't clicking with WWE.
I think some of the things, though, like, for me, you have the people that walk away from situations like all these releases that just happened. You have some of these people walk away and they got sour grapes.
Yeah.
They're full of piss and vinegar. They don't see.
Yeah, they're bitter.
They're bitter about it. Yeah. They're like, well, what could have been if I'd have been able to, blah, blah, blah. But then you got people that walk away from it and you're like, look, I understand the platform that I was on. I thank them for that opportunity. Yeah. They provided me a source and did this, that, and the other, and I'm on to bigger and better things. Let's go. I mean, it's just...
Well, it helps not to be a complainer because that the complaining essentially burns that bridge that, may keep you from going back when your time could come up.
The best example of that was Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, however you want to call him. When he left WWE to go to AEW, he took out a whole page ad in the Players Tribune and had nothing but nice things to say about the WWE and Vince. I mean, and it wasn't like he was kissing ass. That's not what he was doing. He was paying his respects for a company that gave him a platform to launch who he really was out there. And I mean,
he met his wife there. He was heavyweight champion there. I mean, these are things that he may have never achieved on a grand scale. There wasn't an AEW when Daniel Bryan was doing his thing on WWE TV. And Impact never was what AEW is right now. I mean, we could talk about they have more views on TV and all that, but fact of the matter is, they were always a number 2 to WWE, but they might have well has been a number 202. I mean, you know, the gap was so far away that you didn't even, if you didn't know that they were in the same business of wrestling, then you wouldn't even know that they were competitors. I mean,
so
it wasn't real.
I think in today's WWE, you know, obviously we're not part of the locker room. We don't know the backstage vibe. We don't know the camaraderie. We don't know the morale.
Right.
You know, but I think in today's WWE versus the 80s WWE, you know, back then it was so old school. It was, you got to fight to keep your spot.
Yeah.
If you ain't on TV, you're out of sight, you're out of mind.
Yeah.
If you ain't in the ring on the live shows, you ain't getting a payday.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was the thing back then. Now you start seeing it's more of a we're going to do this. We're going to India for a show that we've not done in forever.
Yeah.
We're going to PLE in Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like they've banded together, and it's like, you know, I might come out for a 5-minute squash match, but damn it, I'm part of this.
Well, you got to realize that it's a team effort.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can be a soldier of one, you know, like, and that's kind of what CM Punk's deal is. You know, wherever he goes, whatever he does, he turns himself into a soldier of one. You know, it don't matter if he's on the team or he isolates himself, creates that individual, you know, that individualistic idea of him. And that's kind of where people go with it. They're looking at it like, hey, you know, CM Punk's doing his thing over here. You know, the rest of the guys are doing their thing over here. I don't know if that'll work in a 2023 version of WWE. I don't think that's a thing. So unless he can, I guess, for lack of a better term, get out of his own way, WWE's not going to be the right fall. You know, it's not going to be the right landing place for him. It's just, it's a different culture. It's not, you know, the stuff he used to do before that got him over or whatnot ain't going to fly today. So, it, you know, it just kind of is what it is. But like you said, you got like your, you know, your Zack Ryders or, you know, those kind of guys. Even when they were with the company, you know, they went out and started, he did social media. He got himself notoriety. Then when he was released, you know, he said, hey, I'm Matt Cardona. I'm still the same guy, you know, different name, but I'm here. I'm ready to work. And I mean, you know, he's probably had more success in the last 3 years of being released than he did for the last 13 years in WWE. I mean, yeah, he got on WrestleMania a couple times, but he had one good WrestleMania spot, and the rest of it might have been like in the Battle Royal or whatnot. But I mean, he's main evented essentially everywhere he's went since then. He took a negative, turned it into a positive, and made a damn good career for himself on the indies.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at it, and you know, I'd always try to be the ultimate optimist when looking at these types of stuff. But they need your main eventers, they need your mid-carders, you need your openers, you need your tag teams,
every
you need your trios.
Team's got a role player.
You need everything. And, you know, if you suck it up and you're hanging around backstage and you're going happy-go-lucky with everything that's going on, and then all of a sudden somebody goes, man, that dude right there, if you put him in that storyline with that dude right there, holy crap.
Yep.
And then dynamite.
Right.
You got lightning in the bottle.
Exactly. You know, magic happens. You know, two guys bump and then magic happens. So, you know, unfortunately, there was one name that we left out on the group of holding people down, but we left it out intentionally because that would be Paul Levesque, one known as Triple H. We didn't mention him, you know, even though there have been a lot of stories about him holding people down. We didn't mention him solely because we don't want him to hold us down.
Yeah, you remember that talk about paychecks?
Exactly. We need our podcast to continue flourishing. We need to keep growing. We want to go ahead and get some endorsements and all that. And what we don't need is him making phone calls telling them not to listen to our stuff. We kept his name out our mouths.
I don't need no,
as Will Smith would tell us, we kept his name out our mouths.
I don't need no pissant podcast remarks.
Exactly.
Second rate podcast.
Right. We don't want to hear none of that. Just go ahead and leave us be. Let us do our thing and let us continue to grow. So, yeah, we didn't mention him out there. So if anybody's out there thinking, how the hell did they skip Triple H? We didn't skip nothing. We got bills to pay over here. All right. So
y'all heard me. I got kids.
Exactly. He got kids. Him and Heath Slater got kids. I mean, I got stuff. So yeah, we need that money to keep coming in. So yeah, Triple H, you're all right with us. You ain't don't hold us down, and we won't never mention your name in this context.
All right. With that, we're going to wrap up this show. Thank you, everybody, for listening to our show today. Reach out on our social media platforms. Drop us a line. Tell us what you're interested in. And with that, everybody, we bid you adieu.
Peace.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for the Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.